Okay, so let's dive in. You shared some really interesting sources about uh, building fantasy worlds. Not just any worlds, but ones that feel genuinely real, unforgettable even.
And a big theme definitely was getting away from, the same old generic fantasy settings, trying to create something truly immersive.
Yeah, immersive is the key word. I noticed the sources kind of framed it, didn't they? Like asking, tired of generic fantasy worlds?
Exactly. And they made that promise, like, learn how to build a world so immersive, readers will swear they can smell the pine needles, which sets the bar pretty high.
It really does.
Yeah.
It's just something you can almost touch or, yeah, smell. So for this deep dive, our goal is basically to unpack those core ideas, those techniques from your sources for making worlds believable. Worlds that really grab readers or viewers.
Right, finding those key insights from the material. And it's interesting how much importance these sources place on world building itself. It's not just background dressing.
No, definitely not.
They argue a really well-done setting actively boosts immersion, keeps people engaged, especially in fantasy, where the world itself is almost another character.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So where did the sources suggest start? I saw some points about the foundation.
Yes, the foundation. But it's more than just like drawing a map. It's about making the geography, the climate, the history feel connected. Believable, sure, but interlinked.
Interlinked how? Were there specific examples?
Yeah, one technique mentioned was showing how, say, a massive historical war actually changed the physical landscape, or how a really harsh climate forced a culture to develop unique ways to survive, that cause and effect thing.
Ah, okay, so it feels lived in because things happened there and left their mark.
Precisely. And that leads right into the next layer the sources discussed, society.
Yeah.
Once you've got that physical world.
How do people live in it?
Yeah.
Cultures, traditions.
Exactly, and looking at power dynamics, social structures. But not just in the abstract. The sources stressed how the world's resources, its history, its geography, they kind of force certain social systems to develop.
Which sounds like a natural source of conflict then, stemming from how that specific society works.
That's what the sources suggest. Conflict arises organically from those deep societal interactions unique to that world.
Okay, so foundation, society, then you need the people.
Right.
And maybe not just people.
Right. Populating the world, creating believable characters is key, obviously. Characters who feel like they were genuinely shaped by this place, not just dropped into it. But the sources also talked quite a bit about creatures and non-human beings. They aren't just random monsters, they should be part of the world's ecology, its myths. They shape the dangers, or maybe the wonders of the setting.
So the creature design itself should reflect the world.
Yes, that was a strong point in the material. The design should tie back to the environment, the local culture, adding to that overall distinct atmosphere of the place.
Which brings us to something else the sources touched on, especially relevant today. The visual side.
Oh, definitely. The increasing importance of visual representation. How do these worlds actually look and sound beyond the text?
So artists, musicians, they become crucial world builders too.
Absolutely. Visual art, maps that aren't just functional but beautiful. Character designs, even soundtracks. The sources noted how a strong, consistent visual identity helps make the world feel solid and unique, whether you encounter it in a book, a movie, a game.
Right, it reinforces that unique flavor across different ways you might experience the world.
It pulls everything together.
So recapping this dive, based on your sources,
Yeah.
we've looked at building those solid, interconnected foundations,
The geography and history.
crafting societies that feel like they grew out of that environment,
Right, with their own structures and conflict.
populating them with characters and creatures that belong there,
Yeah, shaped by the world.
and then considering that whole visual and auditory layer that makes it tangible. It all seems to point back to that main idea from the sources. A really well-crafted setting is fundamental for immersion.
It really is. It's about making the whole thing feel like a coherent, breathing entity, not just a collection of cool ideas.
So, as we finish up exploring these ideas on world building from your sources, here's something to think about. We talked about how important visuals are becoming in bringing worlds to life.
Increasingly so.
So how does that visual element weigh against those core building blocks, the geography, the society, the characters? For you, the listener, what element feels the most vital, the most crucial in making a fantasy world truly feel real and unforgettable? Something to ponder next time you dive into a new story.